I'm Leslie from the North Berwick Church's Holiday Club team. I wonder how you got on with your crafts last week. In my bag there was an elephant and stuff to make a rooster. And those hippo pies were really delicious.
What do you get when you cross a parrot with a centipede? A walkie-talkie.
I wonder what you had for your breakfast today. My favourite breakfast is when I'm at Granny's house and we have muesli and banana and bacon and egg rolls. But maybe you're just eating cereal right now. Today's story is about a breakfast, a very special breakfast, and the story is going to be read by Shona. Remember last week, Peter had said 3 times that he didn't know Jesus, and he really felt that he'd let Jesus down. Let's see what happens next.
Peter and the Big Breakfast. Peter sat on the beach and watched the sun set. He thought about how he had run away and left his friend, Jesus. Peter felt ashamed. He thought about the cross and felt sad. He thought about the empty tomb and felt confused. "I may be an ashamed, sad, confused chicken," said Peter, "but I am still a fisherman." So Peter gathered his friends, climbed into the boat, and headed out to sea. Into the deep he threw the nets, and waited, and waited, and waited. There were no nibbles, not a nudge, on the nets. Peter slowly rowed back to the beach. That morning, as the sun rose, a lone fisherman stood on the beach and cast his net. The fisherman dragged his catch ashore. He collected driftwood, sparked his flint, and warmed himself by the fire. He cleaned the fish and cooked his catch. The lone fisherman stood on the beach and watched a boat row back to shore. Splash! "Friends," yelled the fisherman, "throw your nets on the right-hand side." Into the deep they threw the nets, and fish! Not 10, not 100, but 153 enormous fish. "It's Jesus!" yelled John. "It's the Lord!" Peter dived into the sea and swam to the beach. "Bring your fish," said Jesus. "Let's have some breakfast." After breakfast, Jesus asked Peter, "Do you love me more than they do?" "Yes, Lord," replied Peter. "You know I'm your friend." Jesus said, "Peter, feed my lambs." Jesus asked a second time, "Peter, do you love me?" "Yes, Lord," said Peter. "You know I'm your friend." Jesus replied, "Look after my sheep." Then Jesus asked a third time, "Peter, are you my friend?" "Yes, Lord. You know my heart. You know I'm your friend." "Peter," said Jesus, "feed my sheep. When you were young, you'd get all dressed up and go where you pleased. But when you get old, someone else will dress you up and drag you where you don't want to go. Follow me." "But Jesus," said Peter, "what about John?" "Don't worry about John. Peter, my friend, you follow me." And so Peter the fisherman, who still felt a bit chicken, stepped forward, and again he followed his friend, Jesus.
I wonder how Peter was feeling at breakfast that morning. Maybe he felt a bit damp. His hair was still probably wet from jumping in the sea. Maybe his hands were warm from the fire. And maybe his belly was a bit full of all the fish and the warm bread that he'd eaten. But his heart, how was his heart feeling? Because when he'd said he didn't know Jesus, it was like the friendship had been broken and the trust had been broken. And even his purpose, his job of being a fisher of men had come to an end. And there was Peter with Jesus. And we too say and do things that aren't right. We hurt other people. Our friendships get broken. And it's very, very sad. So what does Jesus do? Did Jesus say, well, I've got another friend now and they'll do the job better? No. Jesus said, come and have breakfast. And then he asked Peter if he loved him. And when he spoke with Peter, it was the friendship was restored. Jesus fixed it. And the trust was restored. And he gave Peter a new job, feeding his sheep. And that's what Jesus does for us too. When we do things wrong, Jesus says, come. And he fixes our friendship. And he tells us that he loves us. And he has a purpose for us. You know, I was 11 when I decided to follow Jesus. And now I'm 50 and I'm still following Jesus. I wonder if that's something you want to do.
What kind of snake is good at sums? An adder.
I hope you enjoy what's in your bag this week. This has been the last week of the Jungle Adventure Holiday Club. But look out for new things coming from the North Berwick Church's Holiday Club team. And we'll see you again soon. Bye.